Hey YouTube land, Tychon here doing another action figure review, and today we're having a look at the Book of Boba Fett Star Wars Boba Fett Tatooine set. Now, this is actually released under the Vintage Collection banner, but if you look at the top of the box, it doesn't seem to indicate that on the front. But if I just bring the box in, we have a quick look. You can see Boba and all his attributes that you get in the box. It has a indication that it's removable. It is a nod to the old Kenner missile firing backpack from the original Boba Fett figure way back in the day. And if I flip around the back of the box, you can see that's where the Vintage Collection logo comes into play. And you have another image of the figure just in an action pose. In fact, it's the same image from the front of the box, and then a rundown of what you get inside the box. And then on the bottom, you get all the legalese stuff, a little image of the figure on the side of the box, and an image of some of the accessories you get in the box as well. So what's interesting about this is it's the first time they've done this sort of, well, I think it's the first time they've done this, a kind of enclosed box where they're supposed to be, unlike the previous kind of Vintage Collection stuff where you have the plastic tray with the side on the side of the box with the either an image from the movie or an image from the series. They're using action figure photography for this, and they are using a enclosed box. Now, as I said, I'm not sure if this is the first time they're doing this, but they have started to kind of do these kind of more blind box sort of setups for their figures at the moment. So Marvel Legends has it, the Black Series is starting to get it. What else? The G.I. Joe Classified, I don't think has gotten that yet. Fortnite kind of has it, in a sense. They're kind of steering away from like the window blocks that you can see the figure, and they're kind of going with an enclosed look. Now that can be good or bad depending on how you look at it. The plus sides for that is it's less plastic packaging, and it's more cardboard, which is more biodegradable in the long run for the environment. But on the downside is, if it's a figure in mass release store, you could be subject to a swapper without even knowing about it. They might have swapped out the figure, bought the box, brought the box back with a random figure inserted or no figure at all inserted, brought it back, said it was a defect, and the next person who comes along could get that either swapped out figure or no figure at all. Again, the other thing then is the QC issues. If you have QC issues with the figure, you can't see what the figure looks like before purchasing, so you have that. That is still always a risk you have anyway with online orders when you're buying something online, unless they hit your, like, unless it's eBay where they show a picture of the exact product that they're selling. If it's just a mass retailer like Walmart or anything like that, when you buy online with those, you have always the chance that the figure that you get may have QC issues. So that's kind of a not moot point really, but it is something to be wary of. But getting on to the figure in hand, so the figure itself is in the 3 3/4 inch line, so that is where the Vintage Collection comes in. But we'll take a quick rundown of his accessories. So first off, we have his traditional Boba Fett helmet, which is done pretty nicely. Now, unfortunately, his viewfinder is attached to a helmet. It's a kind of rubber gummy piece. It's not like some of the wasn't Vintage Legacy, I think, had the one that could fold down. In fact, I'll bring in one of my comparisons which will have that feature. I'll show that off. You also get these two cool remnant, I think they're called, Stormtrooper helmets, which are basically Stormtrooper helmets that have been destroyed or blasted or, you know, removed. What's interesting about them is they actually have a ball socket joint. Now, any of the, or sorry, they have like a ball socket joint embedded into the helmet. Any of the figures I've had previously, or any of the Stormtroopers that I have collected are from the early 2000s, which are kind of these style. And if I just pop that off, they have the big ball thing, so these helmets can't really fit on them. These are more designed for the newer Vintage Collection or Vintage Collection style Stormtrooper, whereas most of my Stormtroopers either have this or they have a removable helmet with a human head or some sort of other head underneath. I'll bring that guy in again just for size comparisons. He comes with his traditional blaster, which is quite nice. It's a little bit more detailed, I think, than his previous outings. Again, I will, in fact, if I bring in one of his previous outings, did they reuse the same mold? It doesn't look like they used the same mold for this one. It's actually slightly smaller. The barrel on this is way bigger. So this is one of the more recent vintage collection Boba Fett's from Return of the Jedi. He does come with a small pistol, which I'm not sure if you can see there. It's interesting. It's not like any of his previous pistols. It's kind of a unique pistol. I can't remember if he gets it off someone or if it's just something he ends up with. And then he comes with his jetpack, which has that removable pretend firing missile. So what's interesting about it is it slots in. It has a hole at the bottom so the exhaust piece can go through, but it doesn't poke out. But it is there. It would have been nice if that was kind of enclosed, but it is what it is. The jetpack then has these little holes on either side of the jet stream piece. And what you have extra then are these clip-on blast effects for it to show that the rocket is firing on his backpack. So the figure does include a peg hole. It's a semicircular peg hole, so you can't really put the backpack on upside down or anything like that. But when it's on, you have this kind of indentation or imitation that the jet thrusters are firing on the jetpack, which is kind of cool. So what we'll do is we'll pop those things off and we'll leave the jetpack on, and we'll gear up this Boba Fett as we're going along. So his head is pretty good. It's quite a good likeness of Tamora Morrison, the New Zealand actor that plays him. You can see there's slight white scarring on his face to represent the kind of battle damage he had from the series, the kind of worn scarring look that he has. It's kind of just white paint marks on him, but it is there just to kind of represent that. His head is on a ball joint, so you get a good range of movement. Up and down, side to side, you get great rocker on the head. And the pièce de resistance is when you have the helmet on, you don't really lose that much of the articulation, which is kind of nice. He does have a holster for that pistol, which does fit in quite nicely. He does have articulation arms. The arms can rotate all the way around, but this side piece will get in the way, so you just have to be wary. Now his arm on this side you need to be more wary of, because there is piping going down this one. This one you can get the whole 360 on with no issue, and he has a double not double bend, but a over 90-degree bend on his elbow, which is really nice, and a swivel. So this one does have the bend. It does have that slightly over 90-degree bend. He also has the swivel as well, but again, you just need to be wary of this right arm, because it has this piping which is attached to this shoulder pauldron piece, so it won't really go the full 360 around on this side. He does have trigger finger hands, which have a hinge and can rotate. Now there are vertical hinges, and I believe it is vertical on the off hand as well. So both hands have vertical instead of having one with vertical, one with horizontal. So you have that. His gauntlets aren't a separate piece, so you can't rotate them separate to the wrist, which is a little bit of a shame, but it is what it is. He does have a waist swivel with a rotation. He gets some good forward and back. His skirt piece is attached underneath this belt. The belt is a separate piece, but it's not intended to be kind of removed. It's just there to move off the side if you need to move the arms and legs and stuff. The legs are actually quite nice on this guy. They're actually one of the better legs of the newer figures that I've seen. Usually what you'd have to do on some of the older figures is you'd have to rotate this whole leg section around so you could kick forward and kick back, but with this figure you don't actually have to do that. Now I'll see if I can showcase that with one of the other figures. And It is handy that you don't have to do that. He does have a single jointed knee with a good over 90-degree bend. It also has a swivel in it, if I recall. So there is a slight swivel in the knee. There is a rocker ankle with a swivel, or a rocker ankle, I should say. And he has peg holes on the front of his feet as opposed to the back of his feet. Normally, Star Wars figures used to have the peg hole at the back, but because this foot is so small at the back, they have to put it at the front. And then his last accessory is his blaster, his trademark blaster, which does fit quite nicely in either hand. Now, this is a gummy plastic, so you can the stock will move out of the way, but you can get him in pretty much the exact pose. If I move his head as opposed to his helmet, you can get him in the exact pose that he is on the cover of the box. So he is pretty cool. You can get him in pretty cool, and as he has a soft good piece for the skirt and just has a black undersuit on, the detailing is quite nice, and overall it is a really nice figure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop off this here, move his head back into neutral position to pop off his backpack, and I'm going to bring in this oversized armor up backpack from the Force Awakens line and see if you can fit that. And it doesn't look too bad on him. Usually whenever I do a review for Boba Fett, I will either bring in this or the Power of the Force 2 deluxe Boba Fett backpack and see if they fit. This doesn't look half bad on this figure, even though it's not canon or anything like that. It does look kind of like an extra armor up section for Boba, which is quite nice. I'm just gonna slide his helmet off because it'll probably make it easier to pop the head off. You can even still have the helmet off on this one, and it doesn't look half as bad if I just line up his head, so you can get it to match up with the viewfinder. So it doesn't look too bad. I'm just bringing it up close to the camera so you can see it. So it does fit, and it is quite a good look for him. So overall, he's not a bad figure. So before I go, I will bring in some previous Bobas. So this is the one I had a look at the blaster from. Now, as you can see, this one has this hip joint. So instead of being able to swing it straight forward, you have to rotate it and then bend it at the joint here. So you can't just straight up bend up the leg, which is something that's really good on this one. So there is the Return of the Jedi Boba before he fell into the Sarlacc pit and became this dude. There is the cartoon, the Droids cartoon series Boba, which is like kind of the first appearance style one. And then the other one that I wanted to bring in is this one, which is based on that first appearance, but just to show that it has the one with the viewfinder that's able to move up and down. The helmet on all these three or not, it is removable, but there is nothing underneath, so it's just a ball peg underneath. So you have that, but he scales quite nicely with all the rest of them, and overall he's a pretty good figure. He is a bit more expensive because he's considered a deluxe figure. So I think this guy, if I remember how much I paid for him, because I picked him up a while back, I think he was in the 25-ish price bracket, which is about the same price as a Black Series figure. But he's supposed to be deluxe because he has the blast effects for the rocket pack and those extra Stormtrooper helmets. Even if they didn't have the Stormtrooper helmet, I think just the blast effects would have been just as good as an accessory, a bonus accessory. But overall, he's not too bad. So there you go, guys. There's a quick video review for the Boba Fett Tatooine Boba from Book of Boba Fett from the TV series. Now, I know some people weren't happy with the TV series. Even if you're not happy with the TV series, it's still a good, cool looking Boba Fett figure. So if you want to pick that up, I do recommend picking it up. But as I said, it is a blind box figure, so you have to be wary about any sort of QC issues that you might have, or as I said, potential swap outs as well, so just be wary of that. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick video review, and as always, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Cheers, guys.